all CEOs, me included, we don't actually know what we're doing.
They're all sharks, so all you got to do, though, is know shark behavior.
I don't think we've ever talked about this before.
We can capture all of the wallet share.
First place you start is with the product.
That's just the first note.
This is the Capital Stack. Hey everybody, this is David Paul, the host of the Capital Stack podcast, where we talk to founders, operators, and investors about all things value creation and startups. Today, I am talking to David Tal, not David Paul, David Tal, who is the founder and CEO of Spurs, which is based out of San Diego. Founded in 2013, was a rebrand from a company called Agentology. David, you raised what, 22 million?
17 or so.
17 or so. So tell me, David, give me the Spurs story. You kind of did,
Verse.
Yeah.
It's Verse. Verse with a V.
Verse. Sorry, my bad.
All good. Verse.io. Basically what we do is we're a conversational texting platform that helps businesses engage, qualify, follow up with their prospects, and do so with the power of SMS, really helping companies modernize their engagement strategies by bringing in the power of two-way texting, authentic AI-powered texting to help them have conversations, pivotal conversations with their customers, at the most important moments on their journey.
Now, is that is your main customers like retailers?
So we work with mostly with sales and marketing teams at B2C companies, mostly, but also B2B, but majority B2C. So companies that, if you think big real estate, mortgage, home services, education companies that are driving a lot of traffic to their sites, generating a lot of leads from it, and are trying to find a consistent, effective, and efficient way to engage all of those prospects properly in authentic ways, nurture them long-term as needed, qualify them, and then hand deliver them, with appointments booked, showings, et cetera, for their sales teams.
Got it. So do you feel, is that using like natural language understanding?
Yeah, we use conversational AI, proprietary AI that we've been developing over many years. We use natural language processing, machine learning, kind of all of the above to accomplish a real seamless two-way conversation at any scale for any kind of conversation needed. And then we also have real humans around the country and around the world in contact centers that we operate to help carry conversations forward as well in occasions where the AI is not able to decipher and truly understand and feel confident enough to respond on its own. So we don't rely on pure AI, knowing that people can respond, go off script, bring other kinds of questions into the fold, and we want to keep an authentic conversation flowing. So we'll loop in our own humans to jump in and carry those conversations forward as needed.
And this is more on the sales effort, not so much on the customer support effort.
Today, yes, more on the marketing and sales. The way we look at it is, if you look at the marketing and sales funnel, you have marketing generating leads, generating traffic, hand raisers, and they're tossing those leads over the fence to sales. Salespeople complain that they're getting leads, from all over the place, leads that haven't been engaged with or qualified to some degree and are hard to get a hold of. And equally, marketing is complaining that they're sending all these leads over to sales and they're not following up quickly. They're not nurturing them long term. And so we've really come in to really solve this problem, this gap, conversation gap between marketing and sales, to help them close that conversation, hole where really leads go to die. After people raise their hand and they say, I'm interested, that handoff to sales creates a big chasm, which we've been aiming to solve.
And when you're saying direct to consumer companies, these are like brick and mortar service companies or more technology companies? Is there a vertical that your product really excels in?
All of the above. We work with companies ranging from companies like HomeLight to companies like Angie's List, or now Angie, to big home builders, the biggest home builders in the country, to major universities like Pepperdine, big solar companies like SunPower, and many others in other categories as well.
Okay, right on. And so tell me how you got to this product market fit, because I remember agentology was not this product.
Yeah, so agentology was very similar, but really catered to individual realtors. I came from the real estate world. I was a real estate broker. I actually went to UCLA for engineering, but ended up becoming a real estate broker after many years. And I had, my team of agents here in San Diego. And I was buying leads, generating leads from websites like Zillow, Realtor.com, Homes.com, et cetera, and feeding my agents. And I very quickly realized that they were pretty terrible at following up with all of those prospects. They would not reach out quickly. They were not leveraging text. They maybe would make a phone call, leave a voicemail, and that was it. And if nobody called them back, it just meant that they weren't interested. And we all know that, the fortunes and follow up, it takes many attempts in the modern age to get a hold of people and to follow up and stay top of mind. That's why you've never seen a commercial once. You see commercials dozens of times because you have to stay top of mind. And it's the same with follow up. You have to follow up multiple times to stay top of mind in respectful, authentic ways. And so I saw this experience firsthand as a broker in real estate and joined forces with my brother Avi to really solve this problem and help real estate brokers and agents solve this problem. So we developed agentology, where real estate agents could connect their Zillow, their Realtor, all their different lead sources to one central agentology platform that would then automate the follow-up with those prospects. Today, Verse has evolved, and we rebranded to Verse over 3 years ago, inspired by our ability to help businesses converse with their prospects at the most pivotal moments on their journey, and have conversations. And now we serve every industry. Our platform is fully customizable for any industry, and able to do so much more, including booking appointments, driving inbound calls, live transfers, scheduling showings, and plenty more.
Yeah, and I'm sure that did wonders for your metrics, because real estate agents are historically really big churners on software products.
I have never heard of that.
I owned a real estate CRM, and it was a complete dumpster fire. I still keep the plaque, the tombstone on my wall, just to remember never to invest in high churn businesses, despite, what they say about the growth. And there's always a story with churn, like, oh, well, it's, we didn't want these customers or these, but there's, it just never gets better.
Yeah. You sound like me many years ago explaining it away. Yeah, they're just the wrong customers. No, but but it's true. These one-man businesses and small teams just operate differently. Their marketing spend, it fluctuates a lot differently than a big organization and a company. And this is why we moved further upstream as we rebranded to Verse, because we wanted to work with more consistent organizations that really had a problem with scaling. Realtors maybe get 20 leads a month. They could kind of handle it. So, the bigger teams still sign up, and we do really well with large teams that are generating thousands of leads a month for their, offices around the county or state or country. But by working with companies that are generating thousands, tens of thousands, millions of leads a month and a year, we're able to really bring incremental lift and operational efficiencies, especially in the times that we're in today, where companies are really trying to figure out how to do a lot more with leaner teams. And that's where we come in.
So tell me, there's a opportunity, I believe, for the listeners, because I think most startups, just trying to show any type of product market fit or velocity, they sell to really small customers because they buy quickly, and they also churn quickly. And everyone wants to go up market, bigger ACV, easier customers to deal with, easier customers to support. How did you do that from like a product perspective, from a market positioning perspective, from a sales perspective? Like what advice would you give entrepreneurs about going up market that they probably don't know?
Yeah, it's a question we still grapple with today, because we continue to move further and further up market and continue to kind of redefine that perfect ICP, ideal customer profile. So A couple pieces of advice. It's always really hard to make such a big change when you know it's going to affect sales in the short term, because you're going to rejigger, the outbound. A lot of your pipeline's just going to kind of be useless if you kind of draw a line in the sand and say, we're only working with this size company or bigger. So, but your pipeline that you've been building over years has everything under it as well. And so it takes some guts, some resolve and some patience and kind of steady hand. And I haven't always had the steadiest of hands, but so
we're going to market, but what about the growth?
Exactly.
Right.
So, I think, and I didn't always deal with it well, and still probably don't. But my piece of advice is draw a line in the sand and give it the appropriate amount of time before you freak out or decide to roll it back or make other changes. Like really decide that, hey, I'm going to raise my price. As an example, we did that. We raised our price and our minimums, and we said, look, we're not going to make any changes to this for 90 days. We're just going to see how it goes. Even if we just completely bust for 90 entire days, we're just not going to do it. We're not going to change anything. What you find when you have resolve and you kind of burn the ships and you get rid of plan B is everyone really focuses on making that work. And you have a much stronger chance of making that work and getting minds around that new reality, instead of having people wonder, oh, is it going to go back? Should I keep all these other things warm?
Right. Yeah. Should I keep this pipeline? Is this just like, a knee-jerk reaction?
Yeah. So we do that all the time. We just did it, just a few months ago with our contracts. We had annual contracts with a 3-month out clause. And we found that we had a lot of looky-loos that would come in, waste our time, and 2 months later kind of drop out. And we decided to draw a line in the sand and say, you know what, annual contract starting August 1st. That's it. And, we had a really slow August of new sales because of it, because so much of the pipeline had been pitched in a way where people thought they were really just signing up for a 3-month trial before they committed for a longer period of time. And so it was really stressful. We were doubting ourselves. What do we do? The markets are tough as they are right now around the world. Why did we just make this even harder on ourselves? September rolled around and we had our best month in 5 months in September, all annual contracts. This month we're kicking ass, all annual contracts, even people prepaying for the whole year, something that was unheard of to us just a few months ago. And so,
and that was all a mental thing. That was all fear.
It's fear. It's you don't want to mess with something that's working. But what you need to be able to do as a leader is look ahead and figure out what do you want your cohorts and the strength of your cohorts to really look and feel like 6 months from now, a year from now. Because anytime you look at your cohorts and you study them, there's nothing you can do to change them today. The best time to change your cohorts was a year ago. And so,
exactly.
And so, it's like the planting the tree, analogy. The best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago. The second best time is now. But, you have to do that when you're trying to move the needle and clear a different path for your metrics.
Gotcha. And then I get the burn the ships, put a line in the sand, give yourself a defined length of time before revisiting. And I'm sure this differs from a lot of different products, but just going up market, changing your how you sell. Was there any product enhancements you had to do to sell up market? How did you think about your product set, or was it really just a mindset shift and saying, okay, we're going to accept longer sales cycles and we're going to sell this up market with the same product?
Mostly for us, it was mind shift. Mostly, however, it's now dictating the kinds of integrations that our team is focusing on deploying and working on, right? We in the past, we were focused on solving for all these little guys who have a million different CRMs and needs and requests. And it's very easy to get kind of wagged around with requests because you want to keep every customer, right? And keep every customer happy. As we work with bigger organizations, we're finding a smaller subset of big CRMs. For example, realtors don't use Salesforce. They use 50 different CRMs in real estate. Right. But all the big marketing organizations for all the Fortune 500 use, HubSpot, Salesforce, and a handful of others. And so by us we already integrated with them, but being able to create deeper integrations there that do more, that allow them to see more of the data, and then roll out what we focused on was an entirely new experience for our insights dashboard, our analytics dashboard, which shows all our customers the efficacy and everything going on with the conversations in real time. So they can sort by lead source, by marketing campaign, and other things that smaller customers aren't really looking at or really even tracking. They're too small to focus on that. But big operations that are spending millions a month on advertising, this has dramatic value for them to really understand which sources are performing better than others, not just from a CPL perspective, which is kind of a vanity metric, but from a clarity metric perspective of which leads are actually turning into real conversations.
Mm-hmm. And then when you're positioning yourself in the marketplace, because you are continually going up market, self-proclaimed, still trying to find the best possible customer. How important is market positioning versus just kind of features when you're selling into a MarTech stack, right? I mean, which is pretty noisy.
How important are features?
Well, how important is are you selling are you selling features? How do you sell Verse, right? Do you sell it based on how you position yourself in the grand vision of the company? Are you selling against features? I'm sure that there's it's a handful of competitors that you're dealing with.
Yeah. So I mean, one of the biggest values that we bring is bringing the power of SMS into the engagement strategy. Only 6% of businesses leverage two-way texting for engagement, for customer engagement. Only 6%. I truly believe that over the next 10 years, that's going to flip where only 6% of businesses 10 years from now are not using SMS, and everybody is, and everybody else is. And so a big part of what we do is really come from a consultative standpoint and say, hey, here's what you're doing today. You have a huge call center, or you have teams that are, calling within seconds. Great. But here are the stats. Only 13% of people answer the phone nowadays. Only 13%. Only 22% of emails are read. 22% of emails. 98% of text messages are read. And 90% of those, 90, are read in the first 3 minutes alone. So there is no faster, stronger way to engage a consumer than through SMS. Now, I agree, the best way to close a deal is on the phone. And people will say, how do I get people on the phone? And it sounds weird to say, but the best way to get someone on the phone is to text them first. Why? Because if you're driving and somebody calls you and you're one of the 87%, you're not going to answer it. That's going nowhere. And if you don't answer that phone call in that minute that they call you, that conversation's over. It never even happened. You don't even know what it was or what it was about. You have no idea. With the text, I could send it to you. And if you're driving or busy or in another meeting or picking up the kids and can't respond within a second, that's fine. You could respond an hour later and the conversation just keeps going, right? And you have context and relevance and preference. And let me break that down. With a text message, if I send you a text message after, let's just say you're inquiring about solar and you want to get a quote for solar, you can get a text. If you get a call from that solar company from some random number, you don't answer it. Nothing ever happened. Right. Nothing happened. There's no progress. With a text, I could say, hey, David, Alex here with blank, blank solar. Just got your request. When's, for a quote, would love to have an installer come out and analyze and get you a quote. Is now a good time for a quick call or is there a better time? What we do there is, number one, there's context and relevance. We addressed you by name, by the company you just inquired about. You know what the text is about, what it's referring to. And now we're giving you choice in how you want to communicate. Do you want to prefer to text? Because you can. 90% of people prefer to text, by the way, initially with a business, 90%. Or if you say, call me now, we can call you now, but you'll pick up 94% of the time. You will pick up if you expect that call from that specific number. And if you say, call me tomorrow or call me in an hour, again, we're giving you preference and choice in how to communicate. And I think the biggest fundamental change in consumer behavior that we've seen over the last 5 or 6 years is where the control of the experience is and is maintained. in the past, marketers, sales organizations have felt that they are controlling that experience and saying, I'm going to call you when we're available, and we're going to call you and keep calling you when we're free. And hopefully we catch you when you're free, and it kind of intercepts. What's changed is consumers expect to press the button themselves and have the control, have the car come to them. They don't want to go to the bus stop to find the next car coming. They want to press the button and the car comes to them that moment, right? And it's the same thing with the experience. They want to be able to control that conversation and that experience on their time and their terms. And so that's the biggest fundamental shift. And texting gives that opportunity for both parties to continue that communication in the best way as the consumer prefers.
It's funny you really mentioned that, because what I'm hearing now, and I'm after hearing you talk about the efficacy of texting, we do a lot of outbound deal sourcing on our side, right? When we're looking for companies to invest in, I'm gonna just start texting people. I have their phone number, right? I have the tools to get their phone number. I'm just gonna start texting them.
You should. I
couldn't think of anything more intrusive than that, but fuck it.
It's more intrusive to get a call from a number you don't know and then answer it, not even knowing knowing who the hell is on the other side of that phone, and not knowing what they're going to ask you, what it's about, how long that's going to take, what's expected. To me, that's more intrusive. It's someone knocking on the door, but you can't even look through the peephole to see who it is.
Yeah, you cover the peephole. Yeah.
Right. And so I actually think, and calling just keeps ringing and ringing. That's more intrusive than one little ding one time with context and relevance. And someone can easily be like, not interested. No, thanks.
Yeah.
That's it. And it's over. Instead of you then having to call 8 to 10 more times to try to intercept them and interrupt their day at the right time, it's just illogical.
Right. Exactly. Tell me about your capital stack. Tell me about your investors.
Well, we've raised 3 different rounds. We have really amazing investors from the Bay, from Israel, who have been supporting us for many, many years. I'm fortunate, and we're very fortunate that we have a really supportive board who really takes the long view approach and has allowed us to continue to build a really amazing company from our starting days with a handful of employees to 100 plus employees now, and continues to invest in us. We've also been fortunate to run efficiently and not kind of burn money at all costs for not that kind of growth at all costs, but really try to continue to build product market fit, efficiencies, which is why I'm glad that we're in a very fortunate place today, even given the markets, not needing to raise. We've always said, 4 years ago when we raised a big round, and we were on the verge of running out of all money, and there were conversations we were having about shutting down. Just because if we didn't raise, we would have had to shut down or not being able to pay people 2 weeks later on payroll. That was one of the most stressful periods in my entire life. Mm-hmm. And I have 3 kids, so that's saying a lot. Mm-hmm. And in fact, my brother and I vowed to never put ourselves in that position ever again, to never expect that we'll raise money or be able to, and to always operate from a place of efficiencies and continuing to extend that runway. And if things slowed, then we would adjust spend accordingly to always maintain a healthy runway. And that's where we're at today. And I feel really good and confident about that. It's allowed us to pivot, make changes, and make the right long-term decisions for the company.
Mm-hmm. And so how do you think about, because your solution, and I believe strongly, if you need people within a solution, then you need people within a solution to solve the problem first before just maximizing margin. So how do you think about running the service component of your business, of the people that are actually picking up the call, right? When there's, I guess, the decision tree of the AI runs out of options, and how do you think about the business and where it's positioned using that team and how that's going to be valued going forward?
We believe that humans alone, like most companies do it today, is inefficient, expensive, hard to scale. They're hard to manage, hard to hire, hard to keep happy. But technology alone is also very limited and very inauthentic and expensive on its own. And so bridging the best of both worlds, I think, is what has created our really unique superpowers to be able to do what we do at scale. And our humans jump in for seconds at a time to help push a conversation forward because our AI and our platform guides them to what to do next. And they're kind of jumping in and trying to decipher very quickly what this person said, what it meant, and then click a button. Essentially, they could freestyle type, but mostly saying this meant that. And so every time our humans do jump in, they're actually training the system for the future. And this is why our system keeps learning on its own, because every time a human does jump in, it's retraining the system. This meant that. This meant that.
Cool. Yes, you're kind of like you're kind of tagging it automatically.
We found another way they said not interested, right? Our AI didn't understand it. Great. Now it's kind of logged and it's building the strength. The membrane continues to strengthen. The membrane, the brain continues to strengthen with every human interaction. We hired a phenomenal head of our contact center strategy operations who ran massive call centers for Nike, for Disney, for ADP, and just other big enterprise organizations, who's been able to bring his experience from managing thousands and tens of thousands of reps to what we're doing today by bridging AI for 85% of conversations and finding ways to loop in humans where necessary, where appropriate, to create that seamless experience. And our mission isn't to be a fully automated company, although that may be our future, but that's not our mission. Our mission is to create the most authentic conversations at scale. And today, this is how we're accomplishing that, is by bridging the best of both worlds.
Yeah, and I love the idea that the humans are actually training the models as they're working. So you're kind of getting some R&D.
AI trainers, for all you VCs out there, they're AI trainers.
I like it.
You could think of them as technologists.
Yeah, they definitely sit in the R&D column. Awesome. Well, David, thank you so much for coming on. Couple quick canned questions. What's your favorite book?
Unlimited Power, Tony Robbins.
Love TR.
Me too.
He's the best.
Me too. Have you done the Firewalk?
I haven't done the Firewalk.
Awesome.
I've never actually been to an event, but I've done a lot of the tapes.
It's awesome. I recommend it. I didn't think I'd be into it with 10,000 people in the room or however many people there were, but it was super powerful.
Yeah, no, he's I was going to go to Business Mastery, and then COVID happened, and and I was like, dude,
Maybe I'll go with you. I haven't been to that one.
Yeah, no, we should do it for sure. And then the best piece of business advice you've ever got.
Be overly transparent and honest with your team and your board.
I like it.
The less you have to hide, the more people understand the decisions that you make when you make them, when they're good, when they're tough, and people feel aligned and respect your moves. And
the more trust is developed, right? I mean, that I'm of the mindset of just tell me the bad news first.
Yep.
Period. If you want,
chairman. Yeah.
if you want my trust, give me all the bad stuff, and then I'm usually the one that's gonna tell you that it's not that bad.
We spend at a board meeting. We'll spend as a percentage, 10% of the time on the good news highlights, and the majority on the challenges and what we're trying to improve. It's not about just getting high fives and pats on the back. It's about really leading and figuring out how to keep improving everything you can and never settling.
Exactly. David, thank you so much for coming on. Everybody, this is the Capital Stack. We drop an episode every Tuesday. If you like it, please tell your friends, subscribe, share, cancel me, do whatever you'd like. Anyway, I hope everyone has a great week, and we'll see you next week. Bye-bye.
Thank you for tuning in to the Capital Stack Podcast. Make sure to share this with someone you know that can benefit from this content. Remember to support this show by rating, reviewing, and subscribing. David Paul is the founder and general partner at DWP Capital. All opinions expressed by David and podcast guests are solely their own opinions and do not reflect the opinion of DWP Capital. This podcast is for informational purposes only and should not be relied upon for decisions. David and guests may maintain positions in the securities discussed on this podcast.